Multicultural Education. For our 602 class, Inquiry and Action Project, I focused my inquiry on how culture is either affirmed or disparaged at my current school. I've considered school policies and practices such as curriculum, outreach to families, the role of home language in school, the school's traditions and rituals, and then other questions as we will go over momentarily. I created a staff questionnaire surveying the staff at my school to determine the following. So number 1, what cultures are represented in your classroom population? Number 2, when communicating with families about holidays, do you include holidays that reflect the cultural diversity of the community? And then please explain. Number 3, what cultural festivities are celebrated in your classroom? Number 4, how do you address cultural differences and similarities in the classroom? Number 5, how do you address cultural differences and similarities in our school community? And number 6, how might our school change practices to be more inclusive of all families? And number 6 was really the one that I was most interested to hear feedback from so that we can move forward with an action plan. Our school demographics, we are in District 20 in Colorado Springs, and 81% of our population is white, 4% African American, 9% Hispanic, 3% Asian, and 3% of 2 or more races. So primarily Caucasian or white. We do have a very small population of ELL students. I currently am teaching kindergarten and only have one ELL student in my classroom, which gives you an idea of the limited diversity that we have in our school. Languages used to communicate with families, English only, communication via email or regular paper communication is in English. Translators are available via phone if needed for conferences. The modifications we have for families based on religious or cultural preferences, they're able to opt out of celebrations or classes that conflict with their cultural preferences or beliefs. So my questionnaire, this is a sample. The front side was an overview of what multicultural education looks like in the classroom. It gives the teachers an idea of how to evaluate their answers before answering the questionnaire, as opposed to the heroes and holidays approach. But I think that this did not affect the answers. The answers were more heroes and holidays relevant. On the right side is a picture of a few of the surveys that were filled out by the teachers. So questionnaire responses. Question number 1, I consolidated all the responses into similar categories. The cultures represented in the classroom were mostly Latino or Hispanic. We had African American, Vietnamese, Caucasian, Native American, Nepalese, and then Turkish. Numbers 2 and 3 refer to the cultural diversity through holidays and festivities. Some teachers use holidays around the world during Christmas time, and others use a passport unit, learning about holiday celebrations in various countries and cultures. And then the festivities that are celebrated, there were 3 that celebrated Dia de los Muertos, and all classrooms actually reported that they celebrate Christmas, Valentine's Day, Halloween, and St. Patrick's Day. And then 2 other classrooms reported that the Chinese New Year is a celebration in that classroom as well. Question number 4, addressing cultural differences and similarities in the classroom. A lot of the teachers' responses were based on just general group conversations. So world religions are talked about, embracing the differences. Teacher modeling of respecting differences and value, in cultural variation. And then the teachers also reported that they had open discussions about differences in their beliefs and their celebrations as well. So there seems to be a lot of discussion around it, but nothing specifically related to specific cultures represented by the student population in those classrooms. Question number 5, address cultural differences and similarities more broadly, so in the school community. There's discussions about diversity within various communities, including our school community. One teacher responded that, quote, everyone is treated with respect. The teacher addresses cultural variations within the community and pointing out how we all contribute. Once again, there was a lack of cultural variation or variety in what cultures were talked about or discussed, or the differences and similarities between cultures in our school community. And this is probably based because we don't have a very diverse population, which even is more important than to incorporate multicultural education so that students get that knowledge and that understanding and that exposure to variations in various cultures. Question number 6 was asking about school changes to be more inclusive of all families, and some of the suggestions were to celebrate other cultures throughout the year, having an ESL night or a family game night, school celebrations or recognition of various cultures and holidays. Like I said, most of the holidays that are celebrated are Christmas, Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, the more prevalent common celebrations in the United States. So in reflecting on the questionnaire and with discussions with other co-workers and staff, I realized that my hope in educating the staff on what multiculturalism looks like on the front side of the questionnaire didn't really change the view. I believe that there needs to be more education on what multiculturalism is and how that shows up in the classroom daily, because a lot of the answers were the Heroes and Holidays responses. Unfortunately, our school community doesn't appear to be consistently incorporating multicultural education. A majority of the staff members do recognize and celebrate multicultural differences in the classroom, but nothing's pointed out specifically or purposefully expanded upon. More cultural awareness needs to be incorporated, I believe, into staff trainings, into community communication, and into the classroom itself. Educating teachers to be culturally responsive is a first step towards multicultural education. From the article Viegas and Lucas, it talked about how CLRT must be socioculturally conscious of America's stratified society, which carries the realities of inequality and varied opportunities from school to school due to factors such as race, ethnicity, social status, access to power, gender, and language factors. With this as our foundation, I believe we can begin to unfold a classroom environment that helps students thrive, especially our English language learners. So, current action in process. Currently, myself and another staff member are teaming up and presenting a cultural night for all families twice a year, once a semester, basically to celebrate cultures present at our school. We've created our proposal and action plan to present to the administration, and after approval from the administration, we will need to ask for approval from the school board and then move forward with setting dates and securing space in our building to host the event. The final step, which I put here as the next step, is advocating for responsive teacher training for professional development. This could be done on an in-service day for professional development, or going to like seminars or workshops on responsive teacher training or multicultural education. And hopefully, throughout this action process of presenting a cultural night and having teacher professional development, our school will become more educated on the diversity and the importance of incorporating multicultural education into our everyday lessons.